This is insane. Bungie has just dropped a massive sandbox tuning article, which is nerfing the Queenbreaker, nerfing Lord of Wolves, and so many more changes. Let's jump into all of it, and let's see what Destiny 2 is about to look like in less than a week from now. Ash and Iron is almost upon us, and we'll be returning to the Plaguelands very soon. I'm looking forward to that. If you remember that from D1, shout out to the D1 veterans out there. Our sandbox team has been prepping a lengthy list of changes coming with our first major update available to all players, which focuses on weapons, perks, exotic armor, and a handful of abilities. Additionally, we have some tuning changes targeting PvP combat within the Crucible. Sandbox can be a complex conversation. Diving deep into the numbers, cones, and mechanics of Destiny is no easy task. We've added notes and explanations to help here, but some changes will make the most sense when you hop into the game and get a feel for how they play in combats. So, long story short, us crayon-eating titans, we're not going to be able to understand all the different number crunches. Sometimes you got to test things out. And sometimes Bungie posts the numbers of things and they don't even know what the hell they're doing, and none of it matches up. So, we'll have to test out some of this stuff, but let's at least see what they're nerfing and what they're buffing so that way we can get a feel for what's meant to happen. Snag a water, take your time, and feel free to hit us with questions. Without further ado, we hand it off to the sandbox team. All right, global changes. Weapon hipfire reticles. Various hipfire reticles and hipfire reticle elements have been updated with 3 goals in mind. The first is to make reticles properly communicate the weapon's firing performance. The second is to tone down visual complexity and/or improve the visuals of reticle elements. The third is to update reticle elements to properly adapt with changes to FOV, bloom, and auto-aim, which eliminates situations where they could overlap with each other and in turn allows them to move in closer to the primary reticle. Okay, so a complete overhaul to hip firing and the reticle that comes along with that. The positioning of perk active indicators, pips, charge meters, and text mechanica horns now all adapt to size changes in the primary reticle due to FOV, bloom, and auto-aim. Due to this, most of these have moved closer to the primary reticle. Okay. We got Trinity Ghouls. Perk active indicator has unique positioning due to its split arrow behavior. The pips on Vex Myth class have been moved to appear underneath the reticle. So if you don't know what we're talking about, they're talking about the UI that's on the screen, the reticle that's in front of you when you're hip firing and how it's going to be positioned, and one of the changes that they're doing. It's meant to give you a lot more information now than it ever has before. Before it was kind of just like a circle that let you know the general area where your bullets might go, but now they're trying to make it a little more intuitive and give you a little bit more information so that way you understand, what's happening while you're hip firing the weapon. Barodaiad's pip positioning is untouched in order to keep them aligned with the charge meter and hollow sight. Monte Carlo's perk active indicator is untouched. Pips now have more simplistic visuals in order to lower overall visual complexity. In addition, pips will now disappear completely unless you have at least one pip. Deterministic Chaos's pips are untouched and maintain their old visuals since the function is unique on this weapon. Curved charge meters now have the max charge indicator that horizontal charge meters have. Delicate Tomb, Jotun, and Salvation's Grip now use horizontal charge meters. A few weapons in their perk active state now use a different reticle that communicates their firing behavior more accurately. This is nice. So when you go to its alternate firing mode, its pip there, its little circle that's on the screen will change so that way you know which firing mode you're in. Got Grand Overture, Tessellation, Devil's Ruin, Crasthesia, Touch of Malice, that's nice. Lumina now uses the support hipfire reticle when aiming at allies while you have noble rounds. Very cool. This is great. This is a nice quality of life change. It may not feel like something that was essential, but it's always nice to get these changes so that way you kind of know how the weapons function inside Destiny 2. Support auto frames have a brand new hipfire reticle. Legendary Text Mechanica submachine gun hipfire reticles have horns. Okay. And to maintain a consistent visual and functional language for reticle elements, the pips on Telesto and Traveler's Chosen have been removed and will be visible only as HUD buffs. Interesting. Visually, machine gun and fusion rifle hipfire reticles now appear more consistently similar across all weapons within each archetype, regardless of input method. Vex Mythic class is exempt from this change due to its unique firing performance. Okay, You got deterministic recoil. So what this is right now, if you shoot an auto rifle, right? For example, if you ADS shoot an auto rifle at a wall, it will, spray a certain pattern up and to the right, sometimes up and to the left, sometimes left and right. It's very, it's not very consistent what it does, right? But deterministic recoil would make it consistent, which means that once you learn where the weapon pulls, say the weapon pulls to the right a little bit, you can learn to adjust as you fire the weapon, thus giving you better aim. Now, this is probably going to be very problematic, especially if we continue to allow cheating devices like Cronus and Zims to exist in the game, because what they can do is you could preset configurations on these devices and basically just have absolutely perfect recoil, like no recoil at all. So while this is cool in general, I do like deterministic recoil, especially for PvP. It creates a slightly higher skill ceiling once you learn your weapon better. Let's say you like a particular weapon, you really want to master that one weapon. This is really nice, but it's also problematic for these cheating devices. So it would be nice if we could get rid of those, Bungie. I know I've been beating a dead horse talking about that topic, but I am really trying to send it home that we got to get these devices out because they are very problematic. Deterministic recoil. The set pattern by which a weapon shifts recoil direction when being fired is something we're removing in Ashen Iron. Oh, really? Interesting. So it's the opposite way. We had a goal when introducing this feature for players to be able to master their individual weapons, knowing just how it would recoil and being able to build to know exactly how it would perform. However, weapons can sometimes feel harder to control or need recoil stat to help that is counterintuitive to our in-game display or visual firing patterns. Therefore, we're removing this and we'll be looking into other options in the future. We're retaining deterministic recoil on Vigilance Wing. Here we believe deterministic recoil fulfills our goals. Wow, very interesting. So I thought this feature was cool. I haven't played a ton of Crucible to really get a feel for it. I've just been using kind of the same old stuff, but I know a lot of people were praising this when it was first introduced. I wonder if the PvP community will be upset about this. I feel like they're probably not going to be happy about this. The hardcore PvP fans, that is. Let me know what you think about deterministic recoil being removed from weapons inside Destiny 2, and they're going back to the randomized recoil system. Weapon archetypes. We have a larger balance pass on more families of weapons coming in the future, with specific emphasis on the balance between special ammo archetypes and close quarters battle primary weapons, CQB. But there are some high priority items that we wanted to pull forward. Okay, we got heavy burst sidearms. Several patches ago, we introduced the ADS damage fall-off scaler for heavy burst sidearms from 1.2 to 1.3. While this has been beneficial for the rest of the subfamily, Forgiveness was a bit of an outlier when it comes to the total damage stat package, and this stat increased range and pushed it over the top. Instead of reducing the range of all heavy burst sidearms back down, we've decided to target Forgiveness specifically to bring it more in line. Forgiveness reduced range stat by 15. I did not see Forgiveness doing anything crazy inside, like, let me pull up Destiny Trials report here. I have not seen Forgiveness doing anything in, like, the top 10. And oh, never mind. Holy, I was wrong. Apparently, I didn't play any Crucible during Endless Veil, which I didn't, actually. But I think Destiny Rising was out. And so we got Forgiveness was at 1 million kills. Holy, this thing is absolutely shredding people. So, yeah, that would be appropriate to nerf its range. Good change. I didn't realize it was that strong. I hadn't actually played last weekend. Aggressive submachine guns. In the days since Immortal reigned in the Crucible, SMGs in general, and the aggressive subfamily especially, have received multiple nerfs, leading to them falling far behind other CQB options in effectiveness, which was probably fair because they absolutely ran the Crucible for a period of time. In the future, we plan to take a larger swing at increasing SMG ease of use, but for now, we're going to focus on a more target change to aggressives, which should allow them to better compete with sidearms and spread shot hand cannons. Increased ADF damage fall-off scalar from 1.5 to 1.4. Okay, so a little bit of a buff to the aggressive SMGs. We got spread shot hand cannons now. These have just been introduced with the Edge of Fate. While spread shot hand cannons have proven to be a fun new tool in close combat, they are just a little bit too easy to use outside their intended engagement windows, and they can be frustrating to fight against. Comment down below if you've had problems fighting against these in the Crucible. I've definitely seen a ton of clips of people shooting spread shot hand cannons and then throwing knives a bunch. Apparently throwing knives are a big plague right now. I literally, you know what's funny? I see all the people raging in Crucible and I watch all the clips because I have to stay up to date on all the news, right? So every day I'm always, you know, watching whatever is trending, whatever is going on in the game for hours every day. This is my daily routine, right? I don't actually have to go into the Crucible anymore, though, because I cover the news. So I just sit back and I just laugh and smile. I think, man, that must suck playing Crucible against that. It's such a nice feeling being on the outside, looking in at people who spend way too much time in Crucible. But I still have fun and jump in once in a while, but not like I used to. We're going to take a few targeted swings at addressing this friction with accompanying paired ability tuning outlined later in this article to create a smoother PvP experience. Increased damage versus combatants by 8%, so a buff in PvE, added a 0.1 second delay after firing before you can melee to prevent near simultaneous damage events. Oof. Throwing knives getting nerfed a little bit there, it would seem. Increased pellet spread angle by 5%. Oh, not going to be as close range, not going to be able to get away with them from firing as far of range, rather. And reduced flinch dealt to players by 30%. Okay, so it's not going to flinch you off the shot as much anymore. Sniper rifles. Ooh, let's see what we got here. Snipers in general have fallen by the wayside in Crucible. Let me see here. So yeah, last weekend, nope, no sniper, no, no snipers at all. Weekend before that, no, yep, no snipers at all. And yeah, it looks like snipers are not even close to the top 10 right now. So what are they going to do? Due to both the difficulty of maintaining ammo and the increased flinch they take versus players, I feel like we always go on this like teeter-totter with snipers. We buff them, they're too powerful, we get annoyed, everyone's sniping, especially people on controller and getting crazy aim assists and their Cronuses and all that, and then we nerf them again, and then they're gone, and no one uses them. And now what are we doing now? Now that special ammo uptime in general has been reduced, we're going to start looking to bring some of the power back to these weapons. Oh wow, what do you know? I mean, this has to be like the 6th time we've buffed them after nerfing them. Our first change will be to help to address their ammo economy, and we are currently playtesting changes to the flinch system that we will release in a future update. Increased ammo per brick, pickup in Crucible from 1 to 2. Okay, snipers coming back on the menu, be prepared. Lightweight shotguns are currently eclipsed by their precision pellet brethren. So we are going to start narrowing the gap in effectiveness between them. This is only our first pass, as we're still playtesting additional changes to give players a reason to run aggressives and lightweights in Crucible. Decreased pellet spread angle by 6%. Okay, so lightweight's getting a little bit of a buff. Crossbows, bolts have a heavy ammo radar marker, visible only to the player who owns them. Updated weapon tray icon, obituary, and kill feed to reflect the crossbow's unique silhouette. Okay, gotcha. Exotic weapons. All right, what are we cooking up here, Bungo? We got featured weapon expansion. Ooh, we're adding some of these to the featured weapons, it would seem. What do we get? What are we cooking up here? An Ashen Iron. We'll be expanding the featured exotic weapon list with the following options. I'm interested. They'll benefit from the artifact buff and contribute to your score with an intent to add more diversity into loadouts. We've also revisited a few of these options to make them a bit more appealing. All right. So we got kinetic slot weapons. We got redacted. So is this a new exotic? Oh, a new kinetic slot exotic? Excuse me. Mida multi-tool and Sturm. Ain't nobody using those. Energy slot weapons. Okay, we got Trinity Ghoul. Nice. And Buried Bloodline. Very nice. Heavy ammo slot weapons. Redact. Ooh. New exotic heavy weapon? Question mark? No, there's surely not. There's no way. Darcy. Okay. I don't think anyone cares about that. Heart Shadow. Also, no one probably cares. Sleeper, very nice. Tractor, also very nice. We were very happy about that. All right, Mida multi-tool is... Oh, it's getting a buff. Oh, it's about time. It's a stat monster, but the exotic part of it, unfortunately, has been left behind as our standards for exotics have evolved. You don't say. I mean, it's literally like a freaking year 1 exotic that its catalyst originally was like Outlaw, and it already had like near max reloads. That was the most ridiculous exotic catalyst ever. They did buff that though. But we decided to take inspiration from its source material, taking a larger swing to raise this closer to modern standards, while also seizing an opportunity to incorporate new pairing functionality with Mida synergy weapons. Nice. New trait, Mida software package. Getting enough kills with Mida multi-tool now provides various buffs and an incremental PvE damage bonus after reaching certain threat. Okay. Stage 1, 25% faster handling and ADS speeds, 5% PV damage, 5%? Oh. Stage 2, 15 range stability, 5% PV damage. Stage 3, 15% aim assist magnetism ranges, 5% cone angle, 5% PV damage. Stage 4, shots detonate on impact. Okay. I mean, it's something, you know. The Mida ain't nobody using the Mida now, so maybe after this, we'll start to see some increases. Let's see what happens when you pair it with another Mida weapon. Kills with weapons that have the Mida synergy intrinsic also grant progress towards these buffs. Nice. Primary ammo Mida synergy weapons grant progress at a rate on par with Mida multi-tool. On death, you regress to the beginning of the previous stage. Nice. So that seems like it's got some pretty good forgiveness, and you know, I think it's a decent buff to Mida. The radar while aiming functionality has been moved to the intrinsic. Catalyst replaced no distractions with a brand new oh, that's so funny because the catalyst was like outlaw, and then it was changed to no distractions a couple years ago, and now we got a whole new one. What's it going to be this time? While an enemy is within close proximity and Mida multi-tool is in hand, you are granted enhanced radar resolution and improved reload speed. The enhanced radar is really nice. I'm a fan. The buff lingers for a few seconds once enemies are no longer within close proximity. Now, the only downside to this is that if you're trying to use a scout rifle and you need enemies to be within close proximity, you get the gist, right? You're not necessarily in the proper range to be using a scout. Now, there's other Mida weapons you could be using, so you can adjust and use them instead for the close range stuff, but then you wouldn't have the Mida on that. Okay, so this could be problematic. There's potential, though. There's potential. We'll see. Miscellaneous, very slightly increase the movement speed bonus. Okay. Sturm. Oh my gosh, this is an exotic. I haven't heard anyone mention this thing in years. This just unlocked a core memory. The pairing fantasy of Sturm and Drang is a unique concept, though the output does not feel worth the requirement of 2 weapon slots. You're right, it's not. The slow rate of gaining overcharge shots would lead to maining Drang until enough shots were stored, and the requirement to use Drang meant half or more of the time you felt like you weren't running an exotic. Fair. We wanted to keep the pairing requirement, so we took a larger swing with Sturm, as well as to help the juice feel worth the squeeze. Storm and Stress. Rapid kills with Together Forever weapons within 3 seconds of each other. Now load extra Sturm overcharge shots. Nice. Primary ammo Together Forever weapons load even more Sturm overcharge shots. Okay. Very good. Sturm overcharge shots bonus damage has been tuned. Previously, this was roughly a 261% damage buff against all combatants and a 78% buff against players. And now values are as follows: 260% against bosses, 280% against mini bosses and champs, 300% against minors and majors, 75% against players. Okay. There's some potential here. There's potential. People might enjoy this combo. I still think it's not going to be I don't think this is going to be the meta, but people might enjoy the combo, and it offers, you know, a unique playstyle if that's what you're looking for, right? In providing Sturm more opportunities to load overcharge bullets than ever before, we've reduced the maximum Sturm overcharge to 25. Okay. The prior cap of 99 was never very realistic, and at the new limit, players are encouraged to use them as they have them far more often. And Accomplice. In addition to existing behavior, final blows with Sturm overcharge shots now also increase the magazine capacity of Together Forever weapons until death, capped at 100% of the base magazine. Alright. Catalyst. In addition to the increased stats, Sturm has now a brand new catalyst. Nice. With the catalyst, kills with Sturm overcharge shots grant charges that provide a 50% ready and stow speed scaler for Sturm and Together Forever weapons. 1 stack is consumed upon readying Sturm or together for every weapon. Maximum 6 stacks. Okay. Miscellaneous. Lucky Pants now buffs the damage of Stern Overcharge. Oh my god. But at a lower than normal efficacy. 110% buff at illegally modded holster times 10. Okay. So it does buff, but it doesn't stack. Increased Sturm's ammo generation stat from 30 to 80. And fixed an issue where Sturm overcharged shots were not playing the impact visual effects that signify increased damage. A lens flare is now visible on opposing players, Sturm and PvP, while they have active Sturm overcharged shots, so watch out. Nice. Alright, Sturm and Drang on the menu. Ariana's Vow. This thing is so good. What could they possibly do to this? Ariana's Vow was given a small visual effects adjustment to bring it in line with the other special weapons in PvP. A lens flare would now be visible on opposing players. Ariana's Vow in PvP. Okay, so nothing. I was going to say, this thing is beautiful. Leave this alone. I love Ariana's Vow in PvE. Thankfully, they're not adjusting anything with that. Graviton Spike. This thing is an absolute menace in PvP right now. Look at this thing. Javelin 4, Graviton Spike, 1.2 million kills. All right, last weekend, or on Service Plaza weekend, number 4, 1 million kills. Endless Veil, number 4, 880,000 kills. This thing is terrorizing the Crucible. What are they going to do to it? Graviton Spike has been quite popular since the launch of Edge of Fate, particularly in the Crucible, where its performance makes it clear its overcharged modes are a bit too easy to turn on. We don't want to outright stomp this weapon down in PvP or PvE. It might be time for a little stomp. It's been running people over for quite a bit now. So we're taking a small swing, placing a stricter timer on both its base trait and its unique catalyst to activate. Within the amount of targets in our non-Crucible activities, we found that the performance remains nearly the same, but early Crucible playtests have shown this change reduces the overall frequency of those high-powered fire modes enough to give this a bit more counterplay. Reduce time to gain overcharge shots from 20 seconds to 7 seconds. Reduce time to gain temporal alignment catalyst buff from infinite to 7 seconds. Okay. So, a very, very light nerf to Graviton Spike. I'm sure it's still going to be great after these changes. So if you're worried about it, don't worry about it. It's probably still going to be great. Tarba. Okay, this thing used to be an absolute terror. Long ago, when Zoom changed damage buff fall off distance, we reduced the zoom on Tarba to stop it from being a menace in the Crucible. Yes. Now that it is no longer the case, we began the process of walking it back up and are now returning it to its original value. Increased zoom to 16. Oh god. Tarba with Ravenous Beast active, in addition to the Peacekeeper's damage buff, was proving to be an extreme damage outlier. Peacekeeper's OP, that's right. Titans with the SMGs raise up. We want to make sure it stays very strong so that the high investment and need for close range remain worth it. But the top end combined with damage needed to come down a bit, particularly to maintain fair competition in our raid and dungeon activities. Reduce the Peacekeeper's bonus damage when Tarba and Ravenous Beast active from 100% to 70%. Damn, Tarba getting nerfed in PvE? God damn. Hawk Moon. Hawk Moon was given the same treatment as Sturm by allowing Paracausal Shot, Kaka, to benefit from Lucky Pants. Lucky Pants now buffs the damage of Paracausal Shot, but at a lower than normal efficacy. 50% buff at illegally modded holster times 10. Okay, so a nerf to that little combo, Hawk Moon Lucky Pants combo. And we got New Land Beyond. Its perk counter, previously capped at times 100, now stacks up to 999 for bragging rights. Increased damage is still capped at times. Okay, that's just funny. They just let you go up to 999. That's just funny. All right, who's going to be the first person to get up there to 999? I'm sure that they're going to get Movie of the Week. That's going to be an effort. That's going to be, you're going to have some dedication. Lord of Wolves. They're doing it. They're nerfing my baby. Lord of Wolves is my favorite exotic in Destiny 2. It ruled the Crucible for a long time, and I had fun using it. And then Bungie gave me the best gift of all, and they said, you know what? We nerfed it in PvP. We absolutely ruined it. Let's make a good PvE for a bit. And it has been fun using it. Having the Lord of Wolves back on now in PvE has been great. It's one of the best options you can use. But of course, everything has its time, and Lord of Wolves is getting the axe from what I've heard. Lord of Wolves has been a consistent part of loadouts in our raid and dungeon encounters for a while now. We're making an adjustment to let it remain a powerful option, while also encouraging a bit of diversity when dealing with our most challenging bosses. Decreased release the wolves damage versus bosses by 20%. Oof. You didn't have to do that, Bungie. You listen, you already put not swap on the raid. Lord of Wolves was part of the reason why we were able to clear the raid and contests. You already put not swap on. This is almost too far. I understand, but man, this hurts. Grand Overture. In a long damage phase, particularly for our raid encounters, few other weapons are able to compete with Grand Overture's total damage. Ideally, we'd like it to shine when players put in the effort to prep a missile barrage before a damage phase instead of being one of the best options even with no preparation. This pass will rein in Grand Overture slightly and give it a bit more space to entertain other options for specific raid encounters. Reduce total reserves from 58 to 48. The Catalyst Omega Strike micro missiles no longer require direct hits, kills for enemies to explode. Enemies killed by its blast radius will now also trigger the explosion. Damn. RIP to the homing Grand Overture. Queenbreaker. The nerfs coming in, you know it. Since its rework in episode Heresy, the Queenbreaker has proven a reliable and easy to use option for consistent damage. Yes, it's very good. It's fun to use too, particularly for raid and dungeon boss encounters. We're tapping it down some to bring it more in line with other similarly easy to use options and make it a bit more space for other weapons to use in those fights. Reduce damage versus bosses by 8%. Decreased charge rate via combat sites by 15%. Oof. RIP Queenbreaker and Lord of Wolves is gone and Grand Overture getting nerfed. They are nerfing the outliers big time. It's going to be a whole new meta, a whole new sandbox in less than a week from now, 5 days from now. It's going to be crazy. Outbreak Perfected, Barodiad, and Hierarchy of Needs. These weapons are currently significant outliers in terms of super energy generation. If you don't know, if you use any of these weapons, you can farm your super back up super fast. And if you're using like a Falling Star Arc Titan, you can use a lot of supers that do a lot of damage to the bosses. It's very nice. Particularly during raid and dungeon boss damage phases. A lot of this is raid, and I keep seeing the same words being used. They are definitely trying to tune down some of the OP stuff for PvE. The new raid is about to be pretty difficult with all this stuff getting nerfed as well. A core part of their exotic identity is seeking projectiles for additional damage, but the projectiles are creating some issues with super tuning. So we want to tune that down instead of nerfing the weapon's damage output when that's ultimately not the issue culprit. So Outbreak, reduced damage-based recharger super contribution, slightly reduced nanites damage-based recharger super contribution. Barodiad, same thing, it's just going to not give you as much super. Hierarchy of Needs, same thing, it's just not going to give you much super. We don't even need to read it, we understand the gist. Alright, Thunderlord. We discovered an issue with Thunderlord's exotic catalyst, which was causing lightning strikes to refill more ammo than was required to activate it. So we fixed this. Alright, it's unfortunate. Thunderlord. It's not off the menu, but now you'll probably want to use like Reloader, and you'll have to reload during your damage phase with Thunderlord. Whirling Ovation. This is the new exotic rocket launcher from the raid. Befitting its fantasy of damage phase prima donna, Whirling Ovation launched asking too much of its players to really make this weapon shine against bosses. Oh, a buff. These changes should allow it to shine in a variety of damage rotations while maintaining the promise that dealing more damage with other weapons will always result in anticipation building faster. Increase the rate at which anticipation builds. A fairly optimized damage rotation utilizing Whirling Ovation should see the anticipation meter fill time decrease from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. Less optimized damage rotations will see a more significant fill time decrease. Alright, so Whirling Ovation might be on the menu here. We'll have to see. Give it a try. We got some weapon perks here. Okay, now that we're out of the exotics, we're into the perks. We got Burning Ambition here. We're overall very happy with how Burning Ambition is landing, but this perk uses some fancy new tech to make it easier for us to build and maintain these kinds of perks. And in some cases, the enhanced version of the perk would not provide a decrease in number of shots to activate. Time to activate threshold reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Enhanced time to activate threshold reduced from 2.25 seconds to 2 seconds. And magazine-based hits activation threshold reduced from 60% of the magazine to 55%. And enhanced magazine-based hits activation threshold is unchanged at 55%. When calculating the lower of the above thresholds, the perk no longer rounds down. Enhancing this now reduces the hits to activate by a flat 1 hit. Okay, so some good changes to that, it would seem. Enhanced perk improvements. When we were initially developing enhanced perks, we had a strong vision around what they could be. Now with the system implemented alongside with so many new enhanced perks, we feel more comfortable revisiting some old perks and granting them greater benefits. Oh, this is nice. This I'm actually psyched about. This also really benefits you if you're getting like tier 4 and higher weapons, because these enhanced perks should be even more powerful. To align them with the fantasies they're trying to deliver more. With that in mind, the following perks have had their enhanced benefits adjusted. Dragonfly, they remove the +5 reload. Hey, that doesn't sound like a buff. Added +10 damage to these. Oh, that's nice. Cluster bombs removed the +5 blast radius. Added +10 damage to each cluster bomb. To each cluster bomb +10. Yeah, that's enhanced cluster bombs is gonna hit hard. Reservoir burst removed +5 stability. Added +10 to enhance shot damage. This is sick. Magnificent Howl removed +5 reload. Added +5% damage to each enhanced shot. Okay, so they are very much incentivized in getting the enhanced perks now. You are going to want to get tier 3s, tier 4s, and tier 5s because these are crazy. All of these perks doing more damage? Are you kidding me? Eye of the Storm removed the +5 stability. Added +10 effectiveness to all Eye of the Storm benefits. Ooh, that's going to be strong. It's going to be a very strong Crucible perk for hand cannons. Flash counter removed +5 inventory size, added +1 second to disorient time. Chain reaction removed +20 inventory size, added +10 damage to the explosion. Whoa, nice. Headstone removed the 5 stability, added new behavior. Precision kills always generate a large stasis crystal. Okay. Chill clip. Remove 5 stability, add new behavior. Players can create slowing detonations from a lower percentage of the magazine. Okay. Hatchling, remove the handling and added new behavior. There's a chance to generate 2 threadlings. Very nice. Dude, these enhanced perks just got massively buffed. That's actually crazy. If you enjoyed any of these perks on any weapons, make sure to get the enhanced version of them because that's going to be worth it. Weapon mods, Temporal Blast. Oh god. This thing is so ridiculously powerful, so ridiculously overtuned that it absolutely has to get nerfed, especially before the raid. So let's see what they're doing here. As we updated perk damage scaling with explosions in the Edge of Fate, we missed updating Temporal Blast to this philosophy, leading to a number of instances where this mod provides a wealth of extra damage, you don't say, particularly on explosive weapons. To make space for some of the other seasonal mods and builds, we want to bring this down just a bit. No longer gains progress on splash damage, and reduce splash damage impulse by 66%. Oof. Note, these changes in tandem on average increase shots to ready explosion by 1 to 2 trigger pulls. They are also reduced damage of the blast when caused by heavy weapons dramatically, more than special/primary weapons. Okay, so a big nerf to Temporal Blast. It was honestly justified, let's be real here. If you look at the sandbox, look at all the other mods, like, that one was a ridiculous outlier. Exotic armor tuning. Oh, what do we got here? Featured exotic armor expansion. Alright, what are we cooking up? In Ashen Iron, we're going to add these ones, okay? They'll benefit from all the, damage distance, etc. So Hunters, we got Young Ahamkara Spine, alright, and Frosties for the Hunters. Titans, we're going to get Stronghold. Okay, very cool. And Hazardous, very nice. Those are both good options. Warlock, you get Chromatic Fire and Controversial Hold. All right. And for Titan, we got in Ashen Iron, we're reworking the exotic Stronghold arms. Oh, for a while now, they've provided immense defensive benefits. That's right. You can just block with your sword and absorb copious amounts of damage. But those benefits rarely prove to be valuable to players outside of niche situations. Don't tell that to Rick Kakis. We're redistributing the power that this exotic provides to make build crafting with it more interesting, doubling down on the tank fantasy to make moment-to-moment decisions more engaging. Perfect Guard HUD buff now appears as a bar, and stacks no longer drop off 10 seconds after blocking damage. They persist until they are spent. Blocking larger amounts of incoming fire gains stacks at a slower rate, while blocking lower amounts of incoming fire gains stacks at a faster rate. Interesting. It's an interesting inverse effect there. Landing a direct hit on a light or heavy sword attack consumes 50% of your Perfect Guard charge. Exhausting enemies hit and instantly heal you with nearby allies. Okay. Landing a sword hit while at max Perfect Guard stacks will now fully refill your sword energy instead of offering infinite guard duration. This enables back-to-back heavy attacks or allows immediate ability to block again. Oh, this could be very strong. Now that it fully heals you and nearby allies, it no longer grants restoration. Ooh, okay, interesting. Gradually gain up to plus 50 guard resistance and plus 50 guard endurance based on the number of Perfect Guard stacks, instead of the previous plus 100 guard resistance, meaning you'll be able to build craft with your sword perks a bit more to maximize your defense or offensive prowess. Okay. Gain 30% damage resistance for 1.5 seconds upon exiting Sword Guard, instead of gaining resist times 4 while blocking. This is now a generic source of damage resistance and can stack with other sources of resist. Okay, so this will be really strong for a survivability build, and this definitely it's got potential here. Walking speed while guarding with a sword is now increased when moving in all directions instead of only forwards. Alright. For the hunters out there, Sir Terrachni's Facade, we got Woven Mail is a strong buff, but without a means for regaining health. Strand Hunter struggles to stay in the fray. This change to the base exotic aims to increase some of that survivability while you grapple around combat. While Woven Mail is active, you will now also return health on defeating an enemy. Alright. And unintended patch note, Relativism. While updating Sir Terrachni, we began to investigate some adjustments to the Spirit of Sir Terrachni perk to balance it a bit against other options on the exotic class item. We concluded this change was premature, but were unable to fully remove the change before 910 was locked. While we intend to revisit the effectiveness of this perk in the long run, we'll be rolling back the following change to the Woven Mail timer in our next available patch. Spirit of Sir Terrachni, duration of Woven Mail provided reduced from 10 seconds to 6. This will be reverted in our next patch. Okay, gotcha. It's a little bit of a bug there. They're aware of it, and it'll be patched. Warlock, we got Chromatic Fire. Whew. This thing used to be a beast back in the day. Chromatic Fire is... actually, no, I'm thinking of a different... I was thinking of Starfire Protocol. Let's do it. My fire is backwards there. Chromatic Fire is not very popular, actually. It's an exotic that ostensibly should be useful with a variety of subclasses and weapons, but in reality, the current design is only useful on certain subclasses with a subset of kinetic weapons. We're reworking it to be less dependent on your subclass to be useful and to be functional with all kinetic weapons. Yes, all. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by all? When they say yes, all, there's a very unique interaction that they're referencing, that they're being vague about. Feel free to comment down below if you know what that might be with Chromatic Fire. What kinetic weapon could you possibly fire that would proc Firefly? Huh. Detonation radius on precision kinetic. Yeah, you have to get a precision hit. Final blows has been increased by 36%. No longer applies keywords based on equipped super. Non-precision kinetic final blows also produce a detonation. The radius of this detonation is dependent on how many recent elemental final blows the player has achieved. Alright. Feel free to cook in the comments. We'll figure that one out. Controverse Hold for the Warlocks out there. It should have been a big winner with the stat rework, but ultimately it failed to shine in the Edge of Fate release meta. We're buffing the energy return, tuning it by grenade type to be aligned with how quickly the grenade cooldown lasts, and giving it a bit of a buff by providing Weaken, freeing up some likely space in fragment selection when using this exotic. Charged grenades will now apply Weaken. Energy return has been tuned per grenade type. Vortex grenade gains increase slightly, but can no longer activate twice. Axion Bolts, Handheld Supernova, and Scattergrenade Gains all received moderate increases. Okay, so let me know what you think about that, Warlocks. Ability Tuning Preview. Oh, so some abilities are getting tuned as well. Here's a few more. Hunter Gambler's Dodge. In the Edge of Fate release, we changed the melee energy return from Gambler's Dodge to scale on the melee stat and no longer require dodging near an enemy. We're bringing back the dodging near enemies behavior, really? To double the amount of energy you get? What? While rescaling the stat bonus. This change brings back the gamble by allowing you to get close to enemies to double your reward. Thank you. That's part of the whole identity. That's literally like, this is good. While addressing Crucible feedback about Hunter melee spam, in PvE having 50 melee stat and dodging near an enemy will now give you a full melee charge. And at 100 melee stat, dodging near an enemy will grant 2 melee charges for multi-charge abilities. Oh my god, the throwing knives are about to go insane. No, the horror. Oh my god. Rescaled the amount of melee energy generated by Gambler's Dodge from 100% to 70 stat points to 100% at 100 stat points. Dodging near an enemy now doubles this amount. Reduce the amount of melee energy generated in PvP. Oh, okay, good. The amount of energy generated in PvP has been reduced by only 20% in this patch, but in patch 9101, it will be reduced by the full amount of 50. Okay. So it's going to be a wild time from the launch of this patch to 9101. Oh, here. Yes, thank you. This is what they need to address immediately. We've received strong feedback, you don't say, that lightweight throwing knives are frustrating to play against in the Crucible. We're reducing their damage versus players and will continue to monitor their performance. Reduce the damage. Okay, so there we go. We don't need to panic too much. They should have given this one first. They should have hit us with that one first. General Woven Mail. In order to fix an issue with Warlock's new Weave Walk behavior, we're making a change to Woven Mail application to make sure the duration no longer reset to the original Woven Mail source's max duration. Now, when you proc Woven Mail, the duration will be the longer of these two options, the current time remaining or the new source's max duration. Woven Mail application no longer resets duration to original source duration. Okay. Stats. We're still working out the kinks of our new stat system, and we've made some changes to smooth out the experience. First up, we're making stats no longer increase damage against yourself. Alright, stat damage bonuses no longer increase self-damage. That's a good one. I didn't even realize that was a thing. Next, we're making the super stat the only stat that buffs your super damage. It's cleaner and more consistent this way. Melee and grenade stat damage bonuses no longer apply to melee and grenade damage when done in super. Super stat continues to increase melee and grenade damage while in super. Alright. We've also fixed a technical issue. That was actually probably a good one for some purposes. Some things were stacking a bit too much. We've also fixed a technical issue that was causing the class stat to only increase the benefits when you hit a multiple of 10. Fixed an issue with the class stat energy benefits. We're not scaling smoothly between increments of 10. Nice. Finally, we have a fix for mods and perks that increase player mobility. Corrected an issue where the upper end of the mobility stat benefits was set too low, resulting in mobility boosts like the athletic mods appearing to grant less mobility than intended. Gotcha. We're looking forward to getting these ability changes in the wild. In addition to these changes, we're also shipping some Warlock buffs that we mentioned a few twids back. Hunter and Titan buffs will be coming later in our 915 October release. That's it from the Sandbox team for upcoming Ash and Iron changes. We'll be watching launch and ingesting all the feedback that comes our way from these changes. See y'all in the Plague Lands. Very nice. Let me know what you think about it. A lot of changes were just dropped on our head, and I like some change. I like when things that are a little overtuned get nerfed, etc. And overall, I think there's some good changes here. As much as I don't like to see anything ever get nerfed in PvE, there's a time and a place for something to get nerfed, you know? But let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. That's a wrap on this one. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.